What is up, y'all? Welcome to the first ever episode of the Banquet Hall podcast. My name is Kyler Nathan, and I will be your host for the hall. I'm really excited to bring y'all this first episode. We have a very special guest coming up. Her name is Jaida. She uses she, her, hers pronouns, and she's one of the little homies who is doing big things out there in this world. And the main inspiration behind the hall was really just to be able to shed light on some of these stories, some of these journeys of people I think are dope, who are doing really dope things. And we had a really engaging conversation. I learned a lot about her, and hopefully y'all are going to learn some really cool things as well. Make sure you stay tuned in for the full episode, because the end of the episode does have a special discount code and some exclusive previews only to be found in the Banquet Hall podcast of things to come for Black beauty near you. So yeah, without further ado, I'm happy to share this interview with y'all. So let's get it going. Welcome to the premiere episode of the Banquet Hall podcast. I'm honored to be joined by a great friend of mine who will always have the distinction as the first invitee to the Banquet Hall podcast, founder and CEO of Black Beauty Near You from Los Angeles, California. I feel like I'm introing you to a basketball game or something. But welcome Jaida Day to the show. Jaida, how are you doing today?
I'm good. The sun is finally out today, so that's been pretty busy, but it's a good day nonetheless. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. And we are excited to have you here. I'm excited for the audience to get to know a little bit more about you. So I'm going to get right to it. I don't think I told you this when I pitched the idea to you, but the first idea for this podcast, I was actually just going to be talking to people from Los Angeles. I was like, it's
Oh,
my hometown. It's the
right.
greatest city on earth. Like, who else do I need to
Yeah.
talk to? But I think I'm going to open it up to more people. But since you are from LA, tell our listeners how it feels to be from the greatest city on earth.
It's honestly, it's an honor. I'm grateful that my parents had me there because they're not even from LA. They're from, well, we have Iowa and then Boston.
Oh, wow. I did not
So
know that.
how, right, yeah. So how I ended up here, it was a blessing, but I definitely do love being from LA. I love the folks, the culture. Every place is gonna have its pros and cons, but I'm proud to say like I'm from LA. And I really think about like people who aren't, I'm just like, wow, like how did you like grow up and you did, But I love it. And a fun fact, I was actually born in Louisiana
Oh,
because
wow.
I was born early. So I like to say I'm a true LA baby. So LA to
LA,
LA.
LA.
Yeah, it
Okay.
doesn't get better than this. But yeah, so I love my hometown. I love giving back and I have a lot of family there too. So yeah, it's great.
I'm gonna backtrack really quickly just because I feel like I have to. You said part of your family's from Boston. None of them are
Mhm.
Celtics fans, are they?
Yes, we are.
We are. So that means you a Celtics fan too?
Yes, I gotta represent that side somehow.
We might have to end the podcast early. I don't think I knew that about you.
No, but to be fair, as far as basketball goes, I'm not too big on a team. Usually I was with OKC, but then I realized I'm really just a Westbrook's
Mm,
fan. But then he joined the Lakers, so it's been a bit conflicting. But as far as basketball goes, I'm not really a diehard anywhere. So
I don't know how I
hopefully
feel
that
about
helps.
I don't know how I feel about this interview anymore.
I know, big Laker fan, but it's okay. It's gonna be okay. We can just set that aside.
I wish I wouldn't have asked that. I mean, I got the Lakers background on. Maybe I need to add that to the questions I ask before I invite people on.
Yeah.
Do you like the Lakers? So setting aside that portion for the rest of the interview, um, wow, I really need to.
I know you should have prepared yourself for this. You have to ask. You have to ask for
Whenever I
sure.
hear from Boston, I'm just like, ooh, Boston.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna set that aside. I'm gonna set it aside. The
Yeah.
other thing that I wanted to bring, because you mentioned talking to people not from LA, because I think just this past year or two, I've met somebody from Indiana, Iowa, Montana, and it's the same question. It's like, dang, what do y'all do? And it comes into some LA
Yeah.
elitism. I'm not even gonna lie, like
Yeah.
the Cali privilege, but I really be want to know, like, dang, like, what is it like? Because there's so many people in LA doing so many things.
And even like California as a whole, like we take up most of the coast. So California, you can go, you have San Diego, LA, Davis area, then you got the Bay. Like there's so much in Cali, and it's just like, wow, like Indiana, okay. So yeah, it's definitely interesting listening to how people grew up, but definitely growing up in LA is an experience for sure.
Apologies to any listeners from some of these states that we throwing
Yeah.
strays at. It's all love for
Well,
Indiana, all love. But you mentioned San Diego, and that's a great transition to kind of talk about something else we share in common. We both graduated from UC San Diego in La Jolla, California. So walk me through your journey from LA coming to UC San Diego.
yeah, so crazy enough, San Diego, so for UC applications, I had four fee waivers. And the four UCs I was gonna pick from, UC San Diego was not on the list. Like I never really considered UCSD as a school to go to. My dream was Berkeley. Did not get in. We're not even gonna talk about that. But anyways, so I had my four fee waivers, and my mom, she was like, "Oh, like for I'll pay for your fifth one. If you choose UC San Diego because it's a really good school." She did her research. I thought I did some research, but she did her research, and so yeah, so applied, da, 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 got in. Um, Financial aid packages was looking real good. And when I came to campus, I already accepted before I came to campus because of just everything was really lining up. But when I came to campus for Trident Day, it really solidified everything for me. I got to see, it's it's a pretty modern campus. That meant a lot to me. It's still in the city. It's not in the
Mhm.
middle of nowhere because I had to admit, like, I'm a city girl. I can't be in the middle of nowhere.
I feel
Um,
you.
yeah, it's just not for me. And so when I came to campus, like I loved it. I was like, okay, this isn't too old school, too red bricks everywhere. We still have some modern stuff going on. It was pretty cool. And then yeah, I love the vibe. First place I went was Black Resource Center, and that
Woo.
checked it off for me. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of how I got here to San Diego.
And then you majored in math computer science, right?
hmm
What made you want to study that as a Black woman in STEM?
Yeah, so growing up, like math has always been my thing. Like, yes, I've always been good at it. I've loved it, all that good stuff. So math was really like the first thing on my mind. And then my junior year of high school is when I got introduced to like the computer science world. And so when I was applying to UC San Diego, I remember seeing that they had a math CS major. I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
like this is the best of both worlds. At the end, I ended up like now I definitely love computer science more than the math, but I'm good at it. I might as well take advantage of that skill. And yeah, so that's how I came to math CS. Like initially, I was just looking at math, and then once I got my interest in CS, I'm like, oh, that would be cool if I could do both. And then I got accepted for that major, and yeah, that's how I got here.
Hey, and having worked in admissions, it's not easy getting accepted into math or computer science at UCSD, and you
Yeah.
did both. So, kudos to that. And I want to touch specifically because I know you and I have had conversations in passing about like wanting to see more Black women in STEM and
Mhm.
just the lack of representation within the STEM field. So, what was that experience like in the classroom?
Child, it yeah, so first year I didn't take any computer science classes. I just had math. And so the math classes, they were, even though they were the more advanced level because it's my major, they were still pretty like big and had, I'm not looking for people in here, it's not a small class where I could spot people out. So it wasn't really bad, but definitely like my second year when I started taking my computer science classes and my math classes started getting smaller, I was noticing, ain't nobody in here that looked like me. And of course, we have our women in STEM, and that's great. But even as far as like Black folks, it'll probably be like three others max in the
Mm,
class. And then Black women, I don't think I've ever had a Black woman in the same class as me. Maybe
wow.
same major, but I cannot think off the top of my head having a Black woman in the same class as me. And so yeah, that was definitely difficult. But I remember um I can't remember what year it was, but Serge, you remember Serge?
Yeah.
So he we were talking about something. I don't remember where we were, what we were talking about, but I remember him saying like, there's gonna be spaces where you're the only Black person, but he was like, I don't let that get to me. Like it is what it is. That's what
Yeah.
it's going to be, and you can't really, let that bring you down too much because that's really how it's just going to be. And so I took that and I ran with it, and yeah, it was difficult, and I feel like when COVID came about, it definitely helped me because having like study groups and stuff, that's hard to make when you already don't
Mhm.
identify with folks. And before COVID, if it would be a study group, it would probably be like some girl that I'm sitting next to and she'll say like, hey, something of that sort. But it was very rare. But then when it came to COVID, we used Discord a lot and Zoom and all that good stuff. And it was just easier to come together, be in a group full of people,
Mm,
regardless. Some people, we don't even know what their face looked like for the whole quarter, but we
that's
were in
true.
that study, right? We were in that study group every week. And so, yeah, that part is definitely difficult. And also, what was before I became publicity manager for BSU, there was this thing that African Black Coalition had us doing during the summer, and the publicity managers had to write like op-eds. I think I did like two, and one of them was about the amount of Black women in the computer science. It was basically talking about the computer science or math CS major at UCSD. And when
Hmm.
I tell you, I was trying to find those stats, like how many of us are here? Because I only knew what two at the moment. And I was looking it up and it was hard to find. I was emailing my professor, like, hey, can you find this information for me? All this good stuff. And she was like, I can't let you know. She was like, I can't let you know the exact number, something of that sort. But she was like, it's less than either she said less than you can count on your hand or less than you can count on
Hmm.
both hands. And that's out of all of the computer science, math, computer science majors, like, and it was just that. And that's Black women. So I was like, at least I'm not tripping and feeling alone. Like I really am. So yeah, when I realized that, I was just like, wow, like, and the thing is, it's not even an outreach thing or like a lot of people don't want to be in this major because the major
Hmm.
is huge. There are a lot of students
Oh yeah,
with
most definitely.
yeah, and there's a variety of we have computer engineering, computer science and engineering, math CS, like there's so many variations and for there to be like less than a handful of Black women in there, it just that just doesn't make any sense. Like they're literally not doing the work to get us in there. So when I found that out, I was just like, okay, like at least I'm not tripping. I'm not missing out on anything. So with that, I joined Women in Computing, and that was pretty much, my way of, trying to be a Black face in
Hmm.
these computing organizations. And yeah, that was my support system too, because being within a Black space is one thing, but you have to be within a space of people who understand what you're going through day to day, what classes you're facing. So that really helped me out a lot. But nonetheless, it was difficult. Um, but I got through it and that was my thing. I was like, if they can get through it, I can definitely get through it. So yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned a lot there and stuff that's really important in terms of getting through it because not only were you battling upstream with being like a Black woman in STEM and in the computer science program, but at the same time you're also involved with Black community on campus. Like you mentioned, you were publicity manager of BSU, you became chair of BSU, you were intern at the BRC. So um I think asking how did you manage is a little loaded question because I think that was a very stressful period of time for you. But maybe talk about like what it was like balancing being a student, but also like emphasizing what it was like being involved in BSU, being the chair of BSU, especially during the time of June 2020 and just all the fun stuff that you dealt with this past couple years.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. June 2020. That was a moment because that was the year that the updated demands came out, and those I wasn't even because I wasn't chair by then. I think what was that 2020? Yeah. So June 2020 is when I was shadowing to be publicity manager for the upcoming year. So I wasn't even really fully on board yet, but the meetings that I did attend during that time, it was a hot mess. Like the things people would do, the things people would say, how, admin would respond to certain things. It was a lot. And it was it was a lot of wear and tear mentally during that time. And that's for someone who wasn't even all the way involved with it
Right.
yet. So it was definitely a lot. But as far as being a part of like those organizations within the Black community, definitely was helpful to like get away from like all the other academic stuff I was doing. It helped make my day easier. Like working at the BRC, like yeah, it was work, but every day I'm seeing Black folks. I'm creating
Right.
programs for my friends and stuff. Like it was fun, and you get to do stuff for your community and feel good about it and feel like, you're doing something. So that's really like how, for the most part, things went when I would be like doing stuff with BSU or the BRC. It was fun for me, and I really enjoyed it because I'm hanging out with people that I would hang out with anyway. So then we're doing better stuff for the
Yep.
community. So it's just a win-win. And so yeah, it was definitely difficult though, like when it comes to like pushing against admin and asking for certain stuff and being clear with that stuff too, because you can have a demand and be like, oh, we want to survey Black students about their experience, and the next thing I know, a survey is going out to survey all students on their experience. Like, no, that's not what we asked for. We said Black students, and we know you have access to this information, so why are we making it broad? So it would be things like that where, when it comes to being inclusive of all like races, that wasn't, or how people identify, that's not what the goal was. We wanted to target down on a specific group of people, and there was always a lot of pushback with that. So you really have to, when it comes to things like that, you just have to be clear, very very clear in what you want, and very adamant about it, because there will be pushback a lot. And yeah, the worst that could happen is they say no.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is not anyway like, oh, they're gonna suspend me, expel me. Like it's never gonna be that deep. So you just gotta keep pushing until you get tired. Like when you get tired, stop. That's why when we came back, what was it, last school year? Our
Yeah.
goal was like just socials and building up community, like all that. We had a demands team for people who had the energy for that, but overall we were like, no, that's not what we're focusing on this year, because that was a lot. It was a lot.
I mean, it was a lot from the outside. So
I
I
know.
definitely, I think I remember when BSU first announced that, like, yeah, we doing us, like, we'll respond to stuff when we want to, but we
Yes.
doing us. I was like, oh, I'm such a proud alum. But the other side of me, I was like, dang, Jada, can you respond to my email though?
No, yes, you will respond to, but you'll be surprised how many emails, like even working at the BRC, I realized like how many emails we'll get from outside entities just asking us to do stuff that a Google search could do. Like it was just it's so just amazing to see how people will really try to use you and milk you up just to say, oh, we collaborated with the BRC. Oh, we collaborated with the BSU. So yeah, noticing that was wild. But once we noticed that, we're like, okay, bet, we got you.
I love it. But let's transition a little bit to talk about some of your business endeavors. So I mentioned when I introduced you that you are the founder and CEO of Black Beauty Near You. You have on the t-shirt today. I believe you started Black Beauty Near You in 2019, right?
Yep, correct. That is
Awesome.
correct.
So tell us all about it and what inspired you to start it.
Yeah, so pretty much is like an average Black college student going to PWI. My freshman year, I realized like as far as beauty supply products, again, I'm from LA, like, but like LA, and beauty supplies are like 5 minutes down the street, if that. And
Every
so,
corner.
yeah, exactly. And so coming to UCSD, that wasn't the case. Like even on campus, like you go to the market, and all I got for you is scrunchies, Tresemme, Old Spice. I can't do a thing with that. I cannot do a thing. And so, like, what I would do, I would either stock up when I go home, like on what I need from the beauty supplies, or if all fails, I'll order from Amazon and have to wait on that. And so, and I didn't have a car. So it
Hmm.
was bus or Uber. So they were talking about this beauty supply. I didn't go to that beauty supply probably until my third year, because I don't have the time for that. Nobody wants to do all of that. And so, yeah, so after my first year, I was just like, this isn't, really what I want to do anymore. And I was always complaining to my parents, and tell them like, this is annoying having to do this all the time.
Yeah.
And so then that's when they inspired me, like, hey, you can do something about that. And so at first, when I started Black Beauty Near You, it was my sophomore year, and it was, yeah, fall of sophomore year. And Malik DePena, we were all interns, and we have like a year-long project. And so his year-long project was hosting this thing called the shop at the
Hmm.
BRC. every 2 weeks. And at the shop, like he'll bring in black really like it was kind of like beauty shop type vibes. Like we had lashes, braiding, barbers in there, just servicing people because we don't have that on campus. And so I was like, hey Malik, like I'm starting to bring beauty supply products to students. And so he was like, yeah, of course. So I started by selling products through that way. And then I realized like, okay, like this is really a need. Like people are actually buying
Hmm.
stuff. So I'm like, okay. And then March comes, COVID hits, so I'm just like, oh, okay, nice. Like, what are we gonna do now? So by the time my junior year came, I actually lived on campus my junior year, but campus was dead. Like nobody was really on campus. So I still had the option for people to, come to my dorm or I go to them and give them their stuff. But I also wanted to make things more accessible. And so I used my computer science skills to build a website and do things that way. So it also made things easier for people to buy things as well, whether they were coming to me in person or not. And yeah, and then from there, I started making beauty boxes that that's when I wanted to start expanding to like people outside of, UCSD,
Hmm.
USD, or San Diego State. Cause I was like, they're not the only people going through this. And I remember I was talking to my grandpa, and he was when I was telling him about what I was doing, he was telling me how he lives in Arizona and even living out there, like there's nobody, the black population isn't too high. And as
Right.
far as like the barber he would go to, he was like, there's literally one barber out here, one barber shop out here that all the black people go to. And literally he was like, football players be coming in, all that, because this is the only thing there. And he was like, there's a certain razor I use. And he was like, if I go to this store, I'm not gonna have it. I have to wait till I come back, to LA to stock up and all that good stuff. And I'm just like, that's crazy. Like, everybody's going through this. It's not just,
Yeah.
us students, but just as a living experience. And so that's what really, I feel like triggered the thought in my mind to start expanding and providing beauty supply products for more students. And so that's when I started beauty boxes, which are basically pre-made beauty boxes for a style that you may want, for so say like braids or edges or soft locks or wigs, things of that sort. So
Hmm.
you can just get it delivered to you and go. You don't even got to think about what you need for that style. For the most part, what you need is in there already. And so that's pretty much the journey, or like the growth of it and how it came about and what inspired it. And yeah, everything now, like I'm in the phase now where just trying to realize like what's been working, what hasn't been, and going from there and changing things from there. Because I just want to make sure that, I'm not doing too much that people don't need, but
Yeah.
also make sure I'm focusing on the things people do need and that I have that. Because it sucks when I don't have something. And people are like, oh, do you have this? And I'm like, dang, I ran out or da da da. So just working with that. But nonetheless, I really do like doing this. When I would be doing school or even I would work, I'd be like, oh dang, like I really wish I was doing Black Beauty Near You stuff, but sometimes I have to hold it off. But I love doing it. I love um providing this stuff for people because it's definitely necessary. And there's so many
Absolutely.
places like this need is very universal. So I'm glad that I could do my part. And yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I really want to underscore the fact that in San Diego, for our non-San Diego listeners, the beauty supply really ain't just down the street. Like, because you talk about beauty supply warehouse in North Park, you got to hop on three
Mm-hmm.
different freeways to get there from campus.
Mm-hmm.
You got to hope there's parking on the block, and everybody going to this one beauty supply. Because I did have a car when I was a student at UCSD, and so I was hey Kyler, can you take me to the beauty supply? I need some more hair. I need this. I need
Yeah.
eco gel. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Kyler driving us to the beauty supply. You want to go? Now I got to sit
Right.
outside the beauty supply 2.5 hours waiting on y'all to come out with three things. I'm like,
Bro.
man. And so when I heard, because I've heard about Black Beauty Near You before I met you, and I was like, wow, like
Mm.
the youth are in good hands at UCSD.
They're doing good. They're doing
Yeah,
good.
I was like, yeah, like once again, proud Black alum because one of my friends when I was there, Dejanay, she got them to put some Black hair care products in the market. And
Yeah, she
then
sure did.
yeah, and then you started delivering. I'm like, oh, y'all solid. Like, cause this is
Yeah.
exactly what you need, especially because you
Mhm.
look at being on the quarter system, the stressors of being black at a PWI, and it's just like, yeah, I shouldn't have to figure out how to go 20 minutes down south with no
That's what I'm
traffic
saying.
just for some hair gel. Like, nah.
Exactly. Exactly. Like we have so many other things to worry about. Like that should not be a worry. And I'm thankful for, that target they put on campus.
Hmm.
That helped out a little bit. But yeah, definitely more needs to be done. And I was like, I can fight with admin all day about this, but the first step is let's just tackle the problem hands on and then go from there. Cause I was like, if I'm gonna leave it up to admin, it's just gonna take too long. That's for the most part too why I just took things in my own hands for now. Cause some that would I didn't want to wait. Like I didn't want to have a delay and be like, oh, like coming soon. I just want to do something first. And then whatever comes from that later down the line, that's great. But it just had to happen.
No, absolutely. And you
Mhm.
mentioned the Target on campus. That's clutch too, because when I found out they was putting Target on campus, I'm like, oh, this is the track to diversity. Because
Yes,
if you tell
yes.
some black family that there's a Target, a Target on
Target.
campus,
Okay. No, I was geeked. I was so happy when they put that on campus. I said, "Oh, y'all gonna take all my money." And when I lived on campus, they did. They took a lot of my money, but it definitely like helped my experience too. Like I don't have to ask my friend, "Oh, can we drive to this store?" Like there's a lot in there that provides and helps. So that definitely did help a lot.
hey, no free ass for Target though.
Right, they got it already.
But I do want to touch a little bit on a few different things that you said because I think there's a lot of love for community in your answer and talking about like providing these resources for Black students, combining some of your passions with computer science and hair
Mhm.
care to connect the campus community. We've already talked about UCSD and La Jolla not being that diverse and just lack of representation of Black culture. So I
Mhm.
want to highlight a couple more things that you did on campus really quickly. One, you alluded to making the website Magnifying San Diego. I think that was an awesome
Mm.
resource. So I want you to talk a little bit about that. And then also, like, the to me, just a legendary moment in UC San Diego history. You brought a Black business flea market to Sun God Lawn. And
Girl.
I need you to ISO real quick and just talk about the fact that you brought Black businesses to
Ain't that
Sun God
crazy?
Lawn at UC San Diego. When I saw that flyer, I'm like, oh, like the future is now on this campus. We're taking over.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yes. Okay. Let's start magnifying San Diego. Let's start there. Before I get too excited about Black Business Flea Market. So yes. So how magnifying San Diego came about. Interning at the BRC, one of our big things, our year-long project. And it was really hard to think of it because our supervisors at the time were like, the floor is yours. Like, think big. Like, go. Don't think that anything is too small. And so then I'm just like, dang, we're all sitting there like, what we gonna do, y'all? And so for mine, what was it, my second year? So I'm not from San Diego. I did not come to San Diego often. Did not have family out here for the most part. So I didn't really know a lot about San Diego. And so I was like, oh, I can build a website. Because I know I'm not the only person in these shoes. And this is before like I even thought of what's this before? Yeah, because I didn't even think about building a website for Black Beauty Near You yet. So Magnifying San Diego was before that. And so basically what the site did, it does it, but it hasn't been updated in a while. So what it does is it highlights a lot of resources in San Diego, and it was divided by different categories and things of that sort, just to get a gist, like a lay of the land here in San Diego. Like it will highlight maybe some good restaurants or beauty supply resources, or I know post offices, because that was a big one for me. Like I had no idea where that stuff was, like different, just general
Yeah.
categories, like a Google just for like this, San Diego area. And how I got that information, either using Google or reaching out to folks. And then there was also a section on there that highlighted like all the resources that were on the side but were Black owned. And so yeah, that's pretty much what the website consisted of. And from feedback, like, people told me like, it was very helpful and it was a great idea because not even just students, but even like maybe faculty, staff, or just people moving who just moved to San Diego, like somewhere to start is always helpful. Like I'm not gonna say every
Absolutely.
resource was on there because no, I was manually putting that in, but it does give people a place to start and try to start exploring San Diego in some sense. So yeah, that's what that was about. And honestly, when you brought it up, I'm like, dang, like you dug deep because I did honestly like kind of forget about that. But I still think that it's a great idea. And just, expanding on that in some way, maybe sometime in the future. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And I like doing it. I feel like it was very helpful. And yeah, that was that. Anything on that before we move to Black Business Flea Market?
One thing I will say is it still is on the BRC website. Portia had me put it on the
Oh, okay.
website. So Magnifying San Diego lives on. I did notice it wasn't updated, but I'm like, she
Yeah.
graduated. I don't expect her to update this anytime soon.
No, yes. Okay, that's good. At least it's still there.
Yeah, we
So
got to keep
people
your
need
legacy alive. Yeah.
yes, exactly. Okay, that's cool. But yeah, Black Beach Flea Market. So this is the journey. So for Black Beauty Near You, inside the beauty boxes, I do beauty box collabs. So I collaborate with other Black owned businesses to put discount codes to their stores in the beauty boxes. So then when the customers get the beauty box, not only do they get what they ordered, but they get discount codes to Black owned businesses. Like, y'all, it don't get no better than this. So as I'm doing that, one of the collabs I have is with It's a Mood, which is a fashion brand, Black owned by this young lady named Digitera Powell. She's from San Diego, actually. And she hit me up and she was like, hey, have you ever thought of like hosting a flea market? Like literally just hit me up. And I'm just like, oh no, I haven't, but I would be down. Like if you're down, I'm down. Like we can do
Yeah.
this. And so yeah, so that happened and that was like the beginning of this year. And I remember I told you too. I was like, Kyler, be on the lookout. I was like, how do you feel about this idea? Like, do you think this is a good idea? Like, it's not official yet, but what you think? And you're like, hey, like, I can't give you like all the details, but it sounds good to me. And I was like, okay, that's all I need to hear. And so over the summer, me and her, we didn't talk too much about it, but then like the end of July was coming up, kind of beginning August, and I thought about it because we were gonna do San Diego State first and then UCSD. But then around that time, I'm like, oh, like we can't do state during the fall because that's just too soon. They're finna start school. And
Yeah.
so I hit her up saying that because I know she was more familiar with San Diego State. And I was like, hey, like I still think that this is a great idea, but as of right now for the fall, I don't know if San Diego State is going to work, but I'm still down to do UCSD with you. I'm like, I've talked to a few people because I also talked to Kennedy too, which is the current BSU chair. But I talked to her and she was like, I'm down if it's gonna happen, like, we can go. And so yeah, Digi, I call her Digi. She was like, yeah, I'm still down. Like we can do this. And so we just started hopping on FaceTimes and talking about like getting started, what we wanted it to look like. And I was telling her, like, we have the BSU on our back and then spoke to Jay. So I was like, we got the BRC supporting us. So from there, we just hopped on a couple Zoom calls, basically fleshing everything out. And then me and Digi, we did, since we do both own Black businesses, we're kind of like in that realm where like we
Hmm.
know a lot of people already who own Black businesses. And so we reached out to them, asked them like, would you be down to vend here? And yeah, we were taking notes from other flea markets we've been to too as well. Cause like if there's gonna be a layout, if there's already something that exists,
Yeah.
like just take note. Like there's no need to start from scratch and struggle. And so we did that and we also kept reminding ourselves too, like this is just the first event, like especially because of time we're like, we don't have to squish everything in one, but we did want to do as much as we could. And so from there, we had vendor signups. So we got a lot of inquiry from Black owned businesses, and that's how we got our vendors. And then as far as like signups, we reached out to like all like if it was a San Diego college out here, if you could think of it, we reached out to them. We sent them our flyer. We sent them an email and we're like, hey, this is going on. Tell your folks. I don't care how you tell your folks, but just tell them. And so that was nice because we did see like some people from other schools coming too. So that was really nice. Like as far as signups go, because how we did it, we said if you're a UCSD student or a non, and there were
Mhm.
a lot of non-UCSD students who showed up. So or like, people who aren't students as well. So that was really rewarding. And then as far as like music, we couldn't get a DJ for this event, but we definitely made a playlist and it was 2000s themed. So it wasn't too bad like to make a playlist and it was fun. So that was really cool. And yeah, just the power of me, Digi, BRC, and BSU came together and it happened. The main thing was the location. Like we had to get
Yeah.
the location secured. That was the main thing because as far as everything else, it was, up to us because we weren't, it's not like we were collabing with the Oregon campus where we might have financial issues. It was really just securing that spot. So once we got the spot secured on campus, it was up from there. We were like, okay, bet. And then we could have layouts and everything. So yeah, and it was great. Like it was a busy time, but like it wasn't like, oh my gosh, like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm having like a terrible time. The day went by fast. Everything for the most part went smoothly. And we've been hearing great feedback from our vendors, from the attendees. Like and it's just crazy like that. We actually did that. Like, like when you brought it up, I'm like, oh yeah, like
Yeah, you
we
did that.
did that, right? And it happened and it went well, it wasn't just like a disaster. And so that was very and is very, very rewarding. And there will be more flea markets in the future, but 2023 though. Don't expect anything more this year, y'all. It's busy. It's a lot going on, but there will be more. We definitely want to do more because it was just fun. Like, and for the most part, as far as like labor work and setting
Mhm.
everything up, it was really wild to see like when people are serious, like as far as the vendors, when they're serious about showing up and doing their part, they will come through. Like they will
Yeah.
have all their stuff together, they will come prepared, all of that good stuff. And so that really worked out too. Like we had out of all of our vendors, probably I think two couldn't make it. One was because she wasn't feeling well, and the other I forget. But out of all the vendors that signed up, only two couldn't make it. Like
That's
y'all,
good.
like thank you. And so it was definitely a great process. And I think it just goes to show like if you want to do something, you just got to do it. Like we learned a lot from how we did things before, how we want to do things in the future. But at the end of the day, it wasn't a disaster. It was a great time. So even though it was our first time doing it, it still went very well. So, yeah, that is something that I am very proud about. And it was my first time vending, like as Black Beauty near you too.
Oh wow.
So that was really exciting. And I've never done that before. But I think that was a great place to get my feet wet because now I'm like, oh, I'm ready. Like I can do this. And so yeah, but yeah, follow Black Biz Flea Market on Instagram, y'all. There will be more to come, and it'll be a great time.
That's amazing. Yeah, just kudos to you. That was a very nice event to see, and just like
Yeah.
as an event coordinator, I know all that comes into the logistics of getting an event done. So yeah, you
Mhm.
did that.
Thank
Um,
you, thank you.
yeah, you did that. But winding down here a bit, has there ever been like any times where you faced like significant challenges or kind of wanted to give up on Black Beauty near you or change pathways? And if so, like what was that like and what kept you going?
Yeah. Yeah, I think for the most part though, like since it started throughout my college years, when it came to giving up, it was really like me struggling like with my major and like why am I still doing this? Like why I could always switch. Like why am I suffering? And so, but for the most part, it was just, things get challenging and things get really hard. But what kept me going as far as that field is that, I want to be, someone that other for kids who look like me, they can look up to me and say, if she did it, then I can do it too. And a big factor for me that was telling me that I could keep going, James King, he's a full math major and he got on through it. And he was the only math major that I knew of who was Black that's really what was important to me. They was Black, and he was on top of his stuff. So
Right. That's
I'm
what
like,
else you
right,
need.
right, exactly. And so he did that, graduated, and then he went on to his master. Now he's going to get his PhD. Like, I'm like, oh, like, come on, let's go. We can do this. We can get through it. And that's what he would tell me too. Like, especially in my first upper div class, I was struggling. And he was like, it's okay. Like, I promise it's just a weed out class. Like I was literally considering changing my major. I still have the document where it was like, okay, like if I change this, the classes I will have to take. But he was like, no, I promise if you get through this, you'll be good. And he was right, because that class was terrible. I do not recommend, even though you have to take it. It was the worst class I've ever taken. But anyways, yeah, what kept me going is just, I want to be a role model for little Black girls who look like me and who are interested in, it's okay to be a nerd. It's good to be a nerd. Like, I take pride in being
Yes.
a nerd. Yes, like when people call me that, I'm like, yes, I am proudly. And so I think that still kind of goes into Black Beauty Near You and why I keep going with that. For one, like, there are times when I'm just like, especially lately, a lot of things have just been going and rolling, and it could be a lot. I'm just like, why am I doing this? Like, they can get their stuff from somebody else, but then I'm just like, no, like I really enjoy doing this. And then it's very rewarding when you hear, I think also I needed Black Biz Flea Market because it was really rewarding to hear like how people, even outside of the Black community, telling me like, I mess with what you're doing. Like what you're doing is
Hmm.
dope. Like even though, I may not use these products, I can see how beneficial it is. It's one thing for, I expect the people in my community to get it, like they
Yeah.
understand. But people outside of the community still seeing the vision. I'm like, okay, I'm doing something, it's not something redundant. It's something that's really, helping benefit, my community. And so that's what keeps me going. I know I'm helping folks out, and I still really do enjoy running Black Beauty Near You. Like I have fun doing it. I like interacting with the people that I come across and just providing. I like this space of people that I cater to. And so it's all fun, but definitely having a why. You need that, because when you want to give up, you need something to tell you to keep going. And if you don't have that reason for why you're doing what you're doing, it's so easy to be like, well, I don't know why I'm doing this, so I'm gonna just quit. So my why definitely does keep me going a lot on days where, I just don't feel like doing it anymore. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna be here, y'all. I ain't going nowhere. And so yeah, but it does get difficult. But you just have to remember your passion and why you do what you do. And that's what keeps me going.
Hey, that's real. That's really real.
Mhm.
That was inspirational too. I was like, man, let me get my stuff together.
Okay, like sometimes it gets you up. It gets you up and going.
It definitely does. So
Mhm.
rapid fire to close us out, just a few more questions. First up, you mentioned it, but just to give like more air to it, where can people find you on social media? How can they purchase beauty boxes? Go ahead and give
Yeah.
yourself a shameless plug.
Okay, so on Instagram, Black Beauty Near You, just how it sounds. No underscores, no periods, nothing. Black Beauty Near You on Instagram, Black Beauty Near You on TikTok. Also have a Twitter, it's BB Near You. But if you type in the name, it'll pop up on Twitter. And if you access one of those, you'll be able to have the link to the website, which is where everything is listed out for you to buy. And also a special plug, if you really like listening and tapping in right now, I need you to turn your ears up. Um, I can give y'all a discount code. It's called Fall22, FALL22, and you'll get money off of anything you order. So FAL22, and it expires at the end of the year. So yes, if you're hearing this before January 2023, you can use that and get some money off your order. And then also one more thing, there's going to be a Black Friday special. I have not announced this. I'll probably announce it sometime this week or next week, but y'all get to hear it first. So whoopty doo. The Black Friday. So like I said, beauty boxes are pre-made, but for Black Friday, I'll allow customers to build their own beauty boxes. There will be different sizes, and yeah, you get to get whatever you want off the website and get it shipped directly to you. So that's gonna be really exciting. I think y'all are really gonna like it because there's I'm not gonna say too much, but there's gonna be little goodies in there for y'all too. So just stay tuned. All in all, the main hub is Black Beauty Near You on Instagram. That's where I'm most active, and TikTok. And all of my everything is linked in the bio. So yeah.
That was perfect. We got the exclusive discount codes and everything. Episode
Yes.
one, like okay,
Okay.
all right, I'm with it. See, this is what the podcast is about. We get into the exclusive plugs and the early releases. Next
Yes.
thing you know, we're gonna have a QR code to this episode in a Black Beauty Near You box too. Like just scan
Yeah.
it,
Ooh,
go directly to the episode.
yes. Beauty box collabs. I could definitely put that up in there. I didn't even think about that.
It's the NBA,
Done.
Jada. I'll
Yeah.
be on it.
It's done. It's done.
Next up, how can people support you in your endeavors? You mentioned like buying stuff from your website. Is there any way they can support you without money?
Yeah, definitely. Share. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Like a lot. The thing is, like right now, what I've been working on is expanding and making sure people know that I even exist. Because it's not even like I know that what I'm doing is beneficial, but if nobody knows about it, like how am I help you? So definitely, word of mouth is definitely how things spread the most. So sharing, whether you're talking to your friend about it or even sharing like any of my posts on your story to your group chats, telling folks you know about it. I'm also open to a lot of collabs. Like you see, did you hit me up and was like, hey, you want to host a flea market together? And I was like, yeah, I'm down. And I have beauty box collabs. If you want to put business cards in my boxes, let me know. Like I have my friends, their businesses. I always tell them when you get new business cards, send them to me so I can throw them in there. Like just whatever. I'm down for collabs. Like the overall, goal of Black Beauty Near You is to bring beauty products to these students, but also just enhance, the Black experience at PWIs because it's hard out here. And even though I graduated, I know it's still hard. Like it hasn't even been that long. Ain't nothing changed that much. So I'm here to support that experience in any way that I can. So yeah, do not hesitate to reach out to me just because I have that business email. Oh, also my email, bbnybusiness@gmail.com. It's linked in my bio everywhere. But just because I have that formal business, y'all, it's still me. Like it's still me talking to you. So do not be afraid to email or DM the page. It's very still authentic. So yeah, I'm down for any collabs or anything like that. I'm open. So I appreciate all the support.
And I really appreciate you mentioning that it's still you behind the email, behind the
Mhm.
formality. Because even in preparation for this episode, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna send you this formal document, but we can literally text about it. Like
Yeah.
it's just me. Like I need people to understand that we are people.
Yeah.
Like we gotta do the business thing sometimes, but we homies. Like just hit me up.
Yeah.
And I just really love what you said because I think that's kind of the point of this podcast was to just bring people doing dope things, hear more about your story, hear more about your journey, and just share like who you are and how you became who you are with the people. Because I think that that's kind of what's really cool about having like a Black resource center on a college campus. Like
Mhm.
everything I know about you has come through just being at the BRC and just passing by conversations. Like that's
Exactly.
how we had the conversations about the flea market, sharing knowledge. And I think storytelling is very important. So to close us out, I have one last question for you, and it's just your opportunity to give like any final words of advice for that young Black girl that is trying to be who you want to be, or just anyone who's trying to follow your footsteps or just following their own pathway and wants to hear advice from you. What do you have to say to them?
Yeah. I think this is something that I say, I think I have three things. The first thing, everything happens for a reason. So if you're going down this path and you meant to go down the other one, it's okay. Like there's gonna be struggles wherever you go, there's gonna be hard times, but everything happens for a reason. And eventually you're gonna see why it happened that way. My second thing would definitely be just do it. Like just go for it. If you have an idea, try it. It does not have to be perfect. Like you will be sick. You'll never get it done because nothing's ever gonna be perfect. So you just gotta do it. Just do it. Like what are you waiting for? What's holding you back? Money? Find out a way to do it for free. Like we didn't ask. Nobody's asking you or pressuring you to do any of this. So when you come with the idea, we're gonna support it anyway. So you just gotta do it. Just get it out the way. And then the third thing would be use your resources. Like you have to tap into the people you know. Whether you might think it may be a stretch, you never know. Like Malik, he was hosting the shop, and I'm like, like I'm selling these products, but this would be a great way to, really get some traffic. And I asked him and he was like, oh yeah, like it was literally no problem. He was like, come on down and do what you need to do. And that's how I really got started, like selling things and seeing how much of a need it was. So definitely use your resources to the T. That's how Black Biz Flea Market came about. Because to be honest, BRC and BSU, me and Digi didn't have that money to do a lot of the stuff that we did. So shout out to y'all because yeah, you have to, all in all, use your resources. So yes, everything happens for a reason. Just do it and take advantage of your resources. And also, we are here to support you. So if you have any questions, like advice or need anything, just hit me up. Like I'm here. I'm here to help.
That's love. That's love. Before I close this out, any shameless plugs or shout outs left, or someone who inspired you that you want to give a special love to?
Um, as far as shout outs, also yeah, this is I wrote this down too before we even started because I was like, I can't forget about my boy. But my logo and these shirts was made by my friend who I've known since middle school. And his Instagram is digitals by Psy. It's digitals with a Z by underscore Psy. If you just type up DIG in my followers, he'll pop up. Does graphic design, all that good stuff. But y'all, these shirts are so
They
fire. Like
fire.
people really be messing with them. And then I got the tote bags and he created this logo like y'all. And changes might be coming to Black Beauty near you. You ain't hear it from
Okay.
me. But this shirt style may, not be around too often. It might be something different later. So
Okay.
definitely snatch that up while you can. They're on sale. There's also a merch bundle. Just use the code merch. You can get a tote bag and a shirt for money off. And yeah, but definitely Digits by Side, like when I came to him, I'm like, this is what I'm trying to do. I want to incorporate it in my logo, but not too much. These are the colors. He said, boom, bam, I got you. And I've been blasting this everywhere I can so people can know what it is. So yeah, I definitely want to make sure that I check that off because I wrote that down before we started. I'm like, I need to shout him out because he really be rocking with me. And these shirts they be coming quick. He be working fast. So yeah, that's my shout. And then just, my family and my friends, like whether it was graduating or running Black Beauty near you or just being here, living and existing, I would not be here without that support because it's hard out here. But just having people who care about you and are there for you and really see your vision and understand it and support it really helps a lot. So yeah, shout out to y'all too. That's why I'm here.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you once again, Jaida, for taking the time out of your busy schedule and life to join the very first episode of the Banquet Hall podcast. I think we had a blast just chopping it up about you, your journey, everything you've gone through, and how far you've come. I think that people are going to find a lot of inspiration from this episode. And hopefully, we have you back in a future episode once this thing blows up.
Yes, yes, I'm so excited. Thank you for having me. I am honored to be the first guest. I will gloat it and yell it up and down the streets that I'm the first. And yeah, I'm just so proud and excited to see where this goes as well. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank y'all for tuning into that episode of the Banquet Hall podcast. Make sure that you like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star rating, leave a comment letting us know what you like. If you have questions or just something that moved you from the episode, leave us a voice memo on our Anchor dashboard. But most importantly, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Banquet Hall Pod. As this podcast is just getting going, we really want to grow our audience, make sure that we're able to reach as many people as possible and continue to bring really dope talent to the mic, to this podcast. And of course, make sure you support our guests. Go to their website, go to their Instagram, buy something, share a post, and let's support each other. And we all eating.